Welcome to the KIMIYA Healing Podcast. I am your host, Safa, and today I'm going to be talking about self-sabotage. Self-sabotage, when you unconsciously find ways to prevent what you are consciously, apparently, seeking. It's heavy stuff, and I'm here today to tell you about what self-sabotage actually is and how you can overcome it. So think back to times in your life, maybe even right now, when you have an awareness that there is a self-sabotage process or a self-saboteur that lives within you, right? You can try to give this self-saboteur a name. Maybe you want to call her Sally. Sorry if you're listening to this and you're actually called Sally. Give your inner saboteur a name. So you start to be able to differentiate who you are and your core essence from patterns and belief systems and other sub-personalities. Right? So you got Sally who loves to sabotage you. The first thing you want to really understand is, how long has Sally been around? And you might say, my whole life. I've been sabotaging myself unconsciously for as long as I can even remember. And the reason why I know that is because I haven't really achieved what I wanted to achieve in this life. I haven't not really living the way I hope to or I dream of, and therefore there must be some kind of self-sabotaging process happening. Now bear in mind, this is unconscious. You don't know Sally exists. Sally probably doesn't know you exist, right? By becoming aware and giving this aspect a name, you can start to become even more connected to this process and this person. And the first thing you want to do is make a list of all of the ways that Sally shows up. So you might say she shows up first thing in the morning and tells me to eat a packet of biscuits for breakfast. And I know it's self-sabotage and I know I'm going to feel terrible, but I do it anyway. And then I feel terrible. And then I feel guilty, and then it makes me want to eat more sugar, and then I feel even more stressed and highly strung, but I can't get out of this cycle. So you're aware that Sally pops up in the morning. You might also say, well, I also noticed that she pops up right before bedtime and tells me to stay up 3 hours later to work on my business. That's the Sally I've got. Sally I've got crops up right before bedtime and she says, wow, look how much energy you've got. And it's so quiet in the world. You can really focus right now. Now's a great time to get stuck into a spreadsheet. And I'll go, yeah, you're really smart, Sally. Thanks for hanging around. And I'll open the spreadsheet. Then it's 1 o'clock in the morning, or edging on to 1 o'clock. And I'm thinking, oh dear. Now I have to try to get to sleep, but I'm wide awake. And then I end up having a crap night's sleep. So I've had to get more deeply in touch with the self-saboteur within me. And I'm inviting you to get in touch with the self-saboteur within you so we can have fun and do this work together, right? Don't think that you're alone in what you're facing. You're not alone. I can guarantee you that. So write it down, figure out the main things. You don't have to figure out everything, because if you start going down that rabbit hole, you're going to end up realizing that most of your identity is based on self-sabotage, and we don't really need to go that deep right now. You want to get a self-compassionate perspective. You want to be able to say, okay, here are the really 3 core things. Generally, those things are going to be what affects your physical health, your diet, your mobility, your mental health, and you want to focus on that. So, for example, if you're not in a good physical health, if your mental space is not balanced, if you have unresolved trauma, but you've decided that your most important Sally character is the character that tells you not to practice piano, then let me be honest with you, you're not going deep enough. You're not looking at the right thing, right? In order to get resolution and change, you need to be looking at the right problem. So if you can make 3 bullet points and just really focus on these 3 things about when your Sally shows up and what she or he leads you to do, right? Figure out what those behaviors are and write them down. Let's take the example of eating biscuits in the morning. I don't know, those of you who are based in America, you might not know what hobnob is. But over here in the UK, we've got these biscuits called hobnobs, and they are very, very dangerous. So once you start with one hobnob, the chances are you're going to be 7 deep within a half an hour. And they're full of sugar and they're not great for you. So let's take that example. Your Sally tells you this is a really great way to wake up. You're going to get so much energy. You're going to feel really good. You deserve it. They're going to taste great when you dunk them into a nice hot cup of tea. And you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do right now. So you go ahead and you do it. And then you feel like crap. You're not going to know that this is self-sabotaging behavior until you let yourself feel how crap it makes you feel. And generally speaking, our bodies are very good at compensating and adjusting and adapting and trying to keep us in balance. So we won't notice imbalances for often many months or many years. And this is an example that you can also apply if you have, say, addictions that you're trying to move through and overcome. Because your Sally may be telling you that glass of wine every night or that beer every night is, oh, you deserve it. You worked so hard today. It's just going to take the edge off. It's going to help you connect with your family a little bit better. It's going to help you sleep a little bit better. It's going to do all these great things for you. And maybe in the first few months of having that routine, it does. But I hear from people who've been doing that for years and they don't feel good about it. It hasn't made them feel good. They've realized through their own physical health and process how it's starting to affect other areas of their life. So you need to really recognize that there's an accumulative effect that you want to start to identify. So think back and really start to recognize the patterns. So you already now have identified this one major thing. You know that the biscuits in the morning are not good for you. So what do you do when you wake up and you go, Sally's by your side. In fact, she's put the kettle on for you and she's about to launch into why you need to have those biscuits. What can you do when that is such a deep reflex? It's almost beyond your conscious mind. It's a reflex. And those of you who have reached out for the biscuits or have had to work through addictions will know that it is such a automatic, logical next step that almost your body moves in that direction anyway. You don't really have to think about it. There's not really it doesn't feel like there's a conscious choice. And this is the absolute pinnacle and center point of the point I want to make. If you want to overcome your self-sabotaging behavior, you need to understand and recognize and accept the ways in which it has led you to feel like you have no choice. Because self-sabotaging behavior takes your power away. And if you've always lived a life of being disempowered, or you haven't really realized the full extent of your power because you haven't been on a deep healing journey, you haven't embodied your power, your womb, this becomes normal to feel this way. But when you do and you start to get that contrast, you start to realize that, wow, these internal characters, this self-sabotaging pattern, it's actually not making me feel good because it's taking my power away. And that you will know from moments in your life, from maybe trauma experiences, you will know how terrible that makes you feel. Because the root of every single individual human being on this planet is a powerful, powerful creator. So when you have your power taken away from you so easily, your soul aches. Your soul cringes at you. Your soul hurts. Your soul is demanding something better. Your ego identity, of course, is like, well, this is who I am. This is life, right? It's harder to recognize. The point is, sabotage is about disempowerment. The more we feel disempowered, the deeper we sabotage ourselves. The more we feel empowered, the less likely we are to accept or prolong or repeat patterns of self-sabotage. Think about that. Think about you in your life right now. Everything that you are and everything that you hope to be and everything you dream of creating and achieving. Think about the choice that you have to decide to be empowered versus falling into patterns that are inherently taking your choice away. We have to live this. We have to go through this repeated patterns of realizing how our choice is being taken away before we address the final layer, the root cause, which is when our actual power was taken away for the first time. When we did feel powerless, when we did feel like we had absolutely no choice. Until this is addressed, the root cause, the trauma, patterns and behaviors that diminish you, that take your power away, that take you further and further away from your goals, self-sabotage patterns will continue. Not only will they continue, they will build up in layers. And not only will they build up in layers, they will feel normal to you. Not only will they feel normal to you, you will find them disturbingly satisfactory. Think about that. Where you get your satisfaction from. And I know that this is a very real and hard cycle to break because I've worked with so many people who have been through this because of their original trauma left them so disempowered, mostly as children. And as a result, their way to feel any kind of pleasure, any kind of safety, any kind of sense of self is to continue in that identity pattern. So everything they do is geared towards self-sabotage and is geared towards reminding them of how powerless they are. So I take my clients into the fundamental root cause of when they felt that way. That is where the trauma work, the somatic trauma release, the energy work, the emotional processing, the reorientation of the mind, that is where the healing happens. So when clients come to me and they say, oh, I can't stop eating those biscuits, those hobnobs, or, yeah, I really want to exercise, but it's just too cold outside. I can't bring myself to do it. And then I start putting on weight and it starts affecting my body and blah, 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 right? All of these behavior patterns need to be addressed at deeper, more fundamental levels. So I don't work at the symptomatic level. I will work all the way down at the root cause. And if you don't know what the root cause is, as many people don't because they haven't got the memory. They don't have memories of when they first were made to feel completely powerless, especially if it was pre-verbal age. I hold a field that is so clear, it will become immediately obvious to you what has happened, why it's happened, when it happened, and that's the way I work. Because there's no point doing trauma work with this big mystery of we don't actually know what the trauma is. That's absolutely not how I work. That's how other therapists work because they are not serving your soul, they're serving your ego. Right? You're already traumatized. There's very little chance that you're going to become even more traumatized by recognizing, realizing, integrating and healing the truth of what happened to you, rather than skirting around the edges trying to get a remedy and realizing that this seeming remedy keeps collapsing in on itself and leaving you feeling the exact same way. That's re-traumatizing, yeah, and disempowering, and it takes your choice away. It makes you feel that you have no choice because you're not working deeply enough. When clients come into my space, I'm very clear from the beginning. And those of you who've worked with me and who've healed and who are rising now will know exactly how I work. It's crystal clear. And clarity is safety. And safety is absolutely paramount when it comes to doing deep work like this. So, self-sabotage, choice, empowerment, trauma, it's all connected. It's all one big soup right now that you're swimming in, trying to make sense of, right? If you've been swimming in this soup for a very long time, it's going to be difficult for you to get out of it on your own because you're too attached to the identities, these subpersonalities, the sneaky Sally, right? You believe that that's you. And if you believe that's you, you can't change. Think about elite athletes. If they went around believing that they were a loser and not seeking help and feeling bogged down and heavy, they wouldn't be elite athletes, right? They believe they can win. They take choices every single day to optimize their chances of achieving their goals, and they work with experts who know what they're doing, right? They don't try and do it all themselves. They don't try to train themselves, try to give themselves conditioning work, try to give themselves body work, try to give themselves psychological work and end up at an elite level, outperforming other people. No, they go and see people who can do this work for them. So it comes down to whether you want your goal enough. And the clients that come to me are very clear, and I help them to get very clear if they're not clear enough on what their goals are. Because then you know exactly what you're working towards. So the type of healing work that I do requires you to be very, very specific, clear, and open about what life you want to live, how you want to feel, why your goals are important to you. And I will help you to make that a reality. If you come in, you have no idea what your problems are, you have no idea how to fix them, and you have no idea what you want, you need to listen to these podcasts, go back to the notepad and start doing some self-reflection, self-analysis, or take it to a talking therapist where you can take your time and go at your own pace and figure things out, right? You can start to reflect, you can start to help someone to reflect back at you. But if you're in this place and you're going, well, I don't want to see anyone, I don't really even know what they can do for me. The issue here is that you're sabotaging yourself, right? You're sabotaging yourself at such a deep level that you will never be able to access the inner saboteurs, the Sallys and the Sheilas. You will never be able to access them because you're not even willing to take the first step that allows you to become aware, right? So you're basically saying, I don't want to be who I am. I don't want to be myself. I don't want to rise. I don't want to heal. I don't want to achieve my goals. And that is the reason why you feel disempowered. Yeah? So look, this is a very frank podcast. I don't hold back. I speak very, very frankly, very directly, because time is so precious. Energy is so precious. Your dreams, your potential is so unlimited. When you put the two together, we don't have time to dance around the shadows. We got to get straight to work. So if you're listening to this and you're like, holy crap, that's what I need. I need to work with a therapist like that. I need to go really, really deep and be really, really clear, and I'm willing to do the work to get results, then this is the place where you need to come. So get in touch with me. You can find me at KIMIYAhealing.co.uk. Write to me, book a consultation. My consultations are free for a limited number of spaces. I work with only a select number of individuals in one-to-one work that are really, really dedicated and committing to themselves. So feel free to get in touch, and I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. See you on the next one.